Hello pre-calculites, welcome back. Today we're going to be starting a review of finding the equations of lines and reviewing slope. So the section of your book that we're going to be covering is P4, and I know you say, P4, what comes after? So let's get going on this. We're going to talk about the slope of the line, point slope, equation of a line, slope intercept, form of a line, and the general form of a line. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about parallel and perpendicular lines. So let's get going on just review. Hopefully you remember what slope is. How do you describe a line? Slope is the steepness of a line. So they do that as a ratio of rise over run. The formula for that is if you have 2 points with coordinates x1, y1, x2, y2, the formula for that would be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Y is on top, x is on bottom. And you take the difference of your y coordinate and difference of your x coordinate. Order of the points does not matter as long as you're consistent. So in other words, if you do the first y coordinate here, and you need to do the first x coordinate over here on the bottom. So just make sure that these line up. 2 minus 1, 2 minus 1, or 1 minus 2, 1 minus 2. Alright, so looking at this, this is new notation for pre-calculus. Woo! Delta, delta, delta. Can I help you? This triangle means delta y. It means the change in y. In calculus, they use this triangle to denote change. And if they ask you to find a delta x, all you do is you subtract the x coordinates. That's the change of x. Delta y, that's the change in y. And you just subtract the y coordinates in order to find that. They want you to start thinking of slope as the change, a unit of change, the way your function is changing, instead of thinking of it as difference of your y's over difference of your x's, or even rise over run. They want you to think of it as a unit of change as your function changes as x goes to the right or left. Slope of a non-vertical line, we already did this. This is just a new notation, delta y over delta x. That's a shorthand. You know when math people don't like to write. If the line is vertical, that means the x coordinates are going to be the same, and when you subtract them you get 0. So if it's vertical, the slope is undefined, which we'll get to in a second. Other facts about slopes. Lines with positive slopes rise as you look left to right. They go uphill. So that's a line with a positive slope. As I look left to right, this line goes up. Negative slopes, they fall as you look left to right. So this line would have a negative slope here. And parallel lines have equal slope. That should make sense because they are the same steepness. So those two are parallel, have the same steepness, so their slopes are equal. Perpendicular lines have slopes which are opposite reciprocal. What is an opposite reciprocal, you ask? Well, here's an example. 3 over 2 and negative 2/3. That's an opposite reciprocal. 5, which could be expressed as 5 over 1, and negative 1/5 are also opposite reciprocals. So perpendicular lines, you can see this one would have a positive slope as you look left to right. If I drew a perpendicular line, you can see that goes the opposite direction, so they have to have opposite signs. Slope of the horizontal line is 0. Get it? That's how I would remember the difference between horizontal and vertical lines is horizontal is 0 because it's flat. Alright. Anyway, just some mnemonic device to help you keep those straight. There's a horizontal line. Vertical line is undefined. Slope of a vertical line is undefined. Vertical line undefined. Vertical line undefined. Vertical line undefined. Let's find the slope of a line. The slope of a line containing these 2 points. So you just subtract the y values and you subtract the x's values, and they're in ratio. 1 minus negative 2. So I took y2 minus y1, and then 0 minus 3 for your x's. When you simplify those, you get 3 over negative 3, which is negative 1. Be very careful with your signs. Negative minus a negative is a positive, and make sure that you know you're subtracting these, not adding. Thus, the slope of this line is negative 1. You could have figured that out. Here's an example, too. Now, this is a twist, and they said find the x or y values so that the line through the pair of points gives the slope that's given here. So slope is 3. So all you do is you're going to substitute these values into the slope equation and solve it. You know what the slope is. You're only missing one coordinate. So we're going to say 3 is equal to y minus 3, which is our y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which is 4 minus 2. When we simplify that, we get 3 equals y minus 3 over 2. Then multiply both sides by 2, and that'll get rid of your fraction on this side. So you have 6 equals y minus 3. Add the 3 to both sides, you get y equals 9, and bada boom, bada bing, you're done. These are the different forms of equations of lines. They can be written different ways. You've got the general form, also called the standard form in some textbooks, slope-intercept form, point-slope form. Vertical line is always x equals a number, which is counterintuitive. Horizontal line is y equals some number. And the two things that you always need for the equation of a line are slope and a point to put in for x1 and y1. If you have those two things, you can find the equation of any line. Now, that is the point-slope formula. Something to note about the general form of a line is that this first one, you've got your x plus y plus c, they've got it set equal to 0. This first guy, a, he's always got to be positive, and there can't be a fraction or decimal in your equation. They have to always be integers. And the first term, the ax term, has to be positive. They put that on standardized tests a lot. They say, oh, you know, which one's the standard form? And there's a couple of right answers technically, but there's one that'll have a negative number here, and people miss that one. They're so tricky. So this slope-intercept, this guy is your y-intercept, 0, b. And this one can be turned into the slope-intercept form by just adding that y1 coordinate to both sides. Y equals m times x minus x1 plus y1 is, I like using this form of the point-slope form of a line because then it's already solved for y. So I usually, in these notes, I'm going to use this format right here. All right. And you only have to fill in 3 blanks, slope, x1, y1. If you can fill in those 3 blanks, you can find the equation of a line. So let's find the point-slope form equation for the line through -4, 3 with slope -2/3. This is a straight plug and chug. Y equals slope times the quantity x minus x1 plus y1. Like I said, I like that format of the point-slope form best. So the 3 you can see matches up with the y1, -4 with the x1, and -2/3 is the slope. Bada boom, bada bing, fill in those 3 blanks, and you've got it. You're done. They didn't tell you to simplify or anything. I'm going to go ahead and take out the minus a -4 and make that a plus, but that's all there is to it.